And friends, that is the Christian story. That is our calling as we live between the trees. The scriptures say, live the way that you were designed to live. Be in God's image. Love one another. Look after one another. Look after this world. And at the same time, live in such a way that brings advanced signs of God's eventual new world. But the trouble for you and I as Christians is that sometimes when we talk about heaven and hell, the conversation is not about this. The conversation sort of degrades itself and we get to, well, who's getting to heaven and who's getting to hell? How do you get to hell? How bad do you have to be? Heaven, how good do you have to be to get into heaven? And when we talk about the Christian story in that way, we miss the point completely. When we talk about the Christian story that way, we're actually talking about something else. And that something else we usually name morality. And there's nothing wrong with being moral or having good morals, but that is not the arc of our story. So then, when it comes to sin and to brokenness and people who hurt us or mess us up or are mean to us or tragedy, the way we deal with that is actually the Christian life. It's actually our calling as we live between the trees. And hey, if you need a blueprint, if you're facing into something right now that is not clearly black and white, if there is a challenge in your life and it seems like the Bible is maybe silent on that particular thing and you don't know what to do about it and you're wondering, how do I live between the trees in the middle of that? My suggestion to you is this. Look to Jesus and look towards where he is taking this world. Ask yourself, Jesus, are you bringing this world to a place of healing, to a place of peace, to a place of forgiveness fully realized? And then take that and apply that to wherever you find yourself, no matter what trouble or who's causing you harm. If you don't have clear-cut answers on what to do, can you at least point and direct things to the way things are going to be? Because Jesus has this world on a clear-cut trajectory towards peace, towards healing, towards forgiveness fully realized. So the big question for you and I this morning is this. What trajectory is your life on? Where are you taking your world? Are you taking your world and your friendships and your work and all of that towards peace, towards healing, towards forgiveness? Or are you taking it somewhere else? Because remember, every single time we talk about heaven and hell, what we're actually talking about is, are you living into your identity, your true original identity, or are you settling for something else? Are you living into something that's less than that? Are you working with God towards the renewal of all things, or are you actually working against him? Jesus goes to the worst place he can possibly go. And then he signals to his team that they're going to be like Jonah. They are going to preach whether people like it or not. And they're going to go out on his behalf, and they're going to make an announcement, and they're going to go to places like that place they were in, and maybe even worse. And the announcement that they were going to make would be offensive in nature. And the announcement is this, that we, the church, are going to bury hell. So then when we talk about heaven and hell, it's never ever been about scaring people into obedience. It's better than that. It's never ever been about quickly getting someone a ticket to heaven. No, come on, it's better than that. It's never been about you getting the most out of life. No. It's never ever been about that. It's better than that. It's never been about getting other people to agree with your opinion or agree with your take. Come on. It's better than that. And maybe best of all, it's never been about being rescued from an angry God. It is better than that Because God is actually the one that rescues us from sin and death and destruction. Because God himself is the rescuer. So maybe a better way to understand this announcement, or perhaps a truer way to approach evangelism, isn't necessarily about saying all the right things, but actually maybe it's more about burying hell no matter where it festers. So do you want to evangelize your word? Do you want to tell your friends and family and those you love who Jesus is and what he's done? Well, I suggest to you that maybe a great way that you could evangelize them would be to stay in your marriage. That's hard. Marriage is super hard. And it pushes all our buttons, and it pushes us to the brink. If the scriptures call us to stay in it, what would it mean if there were a group of people that were able to actually stick in it through thick and thin, that love and care for each other when they need it most, forgive when they need it most, give grace when they need it most, to hang on tight no matter what happens? Or maybe for those of you who were unable to stay in a marriage, when things broke apart and there was nothing that you could really do about it, how do you evangelize? How do you let people know who Jesus is, what he has done, and what's being offered to them? Well, maybe my suggestion to you this morning would be to be the very best divorced couple ever. Love one another. Go out of your way to love one another. I had a buddy of mine who had taken his kid to a hockey game, and another one of the dad parents came up, and both of these guys were divorced, and this guy came up to my friend and said, "I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you have that kind of a relationship with your ex. You're showing me a new way of being divorced. The only way I've ever seen it is that you're at each other's throats and the poor kids get caught in the crossfire. But you're showing me something different. You're giving me another picture." Oh, maybe a great way to evangelize, to announce the good news of God's coming kingdom, is to be the best divorced couple ever. How about another one? You want to let the whole wide world know that Jesus is for real, the Bible isn't fake, and that God is up to something? How about you love your kids? Love them when they mess up. Love them when they disappoint you. Love them when they make life choices that you would not have made for them. Forgive them over and over and over and over again. Love them even if they don't love you back. What better way to paint an image of what God is up to? And if you're wondering how you can do it, know this: you were actually designed for it. It's been stamped into you. It is part of your true identity to love others unconditionally. You want to try one more emphasize? You want to tell the whole world about Jesus? You want to evangelize? You want to share the good news? Well, how about you be generous? I mean, just give it away. Give away money, give away your time, give away your resources. Don't hang on to it the way that the rest of the world hangs on to it. Because your security is not in your wealth or what you have. It's in Jesus. Oh, and by the way, everything you have belongs to him anyways. You're just stewarding it, so you better handle it well. You better put it into action. Jesus would actually say that the wealthiest amongst us are the ones who give the most away. So give away your time and money and resources recklessly, whether it be here through this community or out there in the world as you see need. And guess what? You don't have to get a tax receipt to give. Surprise! Write that down. That's cool. You can do it. And these are just some examples here this morning. But every time we play in to our true identity, we show others the way God had meant for things to be. And every time we forgive, every time we work towards healing and peace and reconciliation. We evangelize people. We show them what Jesus has done and what is being offered to them even now. So then, every time we live into our identity, and every time we organize ourselves and our lives towards our destiny, the Apostle Paul says that we know Christ. We know the power of his resurrection, that we participate in his suffering and become like him in his death, only to rise again. And every time we do this, friends, we bury hell. And that, and only that, is the good news that we are announcing. Amen? Amen.